What's up guys? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Emma if you're new here, and I love to talk about all things Peloton cycling and fitness, so be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. I post every single Sunday. Today's video, I'm going to be trying a bunch of different rides, and they're going to be all rides that are outside my comfort zone. I'd like to think that I actually am pretty diverse on Peloton and that I take a bunch of different instructors, and I have really branched out since I've started. I really feel like a lot of people, you just kind of stick to the same instructors if you find ones that work for you. But I've definitely branched out recently and have tried some new instructors. Like at first I didn't like Jess King that much, and now I really like her, and kind of the same thing with Kendall. So I've definitely made some progress, but I feel like I could branch out some more, and what better way to do it than do a video. Also, some of you guys recommended some rides to me that are definitely outside my comfort zone, so I thought I would take some of them in this video and really just try some new rides. Maybe I will find some new favorites. So I have 3 new rides today that I've never really tried before. The first one is a 30-minute classic rock ride by Alldis from August 17th, 2021. And the reason I put this on was because I feel like I will like it because Alldis is my favorite instructor, but I have never taken his classic rock rides, his rock rides in general. I don't typically listen to rock music, and I don't think I've cycled to it many times, so I thought that this would be interesting. I do like Ben, so I have high hopes for this class, and it is very popular classic rock, so I've heard most of it. So we'll see how this class goes. I'm interested to see kind of how it will be different than his EDM rides, because EDM and rock are really different. Will it be the same set, just a different music, or does he modify the set to kind of fit with rock music better? I don't know. We'll see after I take this class. And then afterwards is a class that one of you guys commented to recommend to me, and it is the 30-minute classical music ride by Christine Duracle from March 23rd, 2021. This ride sounds very interesting. I'm very intrigued. Classical music does not sound like it would amp me up. Christine does a lot of kind of longer intervals, which I typically like, so perhaps that there's a lot of long intervals in this and you're just kind of listening to some nice classical music in the back. I don't know a ton of classical music, but I did play piano growing up, so I enjoy it. It sounds nice. So it will be interesting. I'm very excited. This ride is truly nothing I've ever taken before. I feel like the rock ride will perhaps be a little intense, and maybe this one's a little calmer, a little nicer afterwards. And then finally, which this is the biggest upset, I have been taking the same Cooldown ride by Alldis for probably about a year now, and it's the only Cooldown ride I take. But one of you guys commented that you really enjoyed Hannah Marie Corbin's 5-minute Cooldown ride from May 25th, 2021. And I was like, you know what? We're taking rides out of my comfort zone. I will try a new Cooldown ride, because really I could do with a couple more, have some interchangeable rides instead of the same one every time. So I'm excited to try out this Cooldown ride and see what I think. I feel like I've tried a couple in the past and I just haven't liked them. I didn't like the format of Cooldown. The Alldis Cooldown ride that I like is high resistance, low cadence, and then you trade them over time, so you end with low resistance and high cadence. You're spinning out your legs. So I'm just kind of interested to see what Hannah Marie Corbin brings to the table for a Cooldown ride, and I hope that I like it because I would like more options. So those are my 3 rides today to kick off this video. I'm very intrigued to see how these rides go. A little nervous just because they're not rides that I typically do. So let's just get right on into these 3 rides. I really enjoyed all 3 classes that I took today. To start with Alldis's classic rock ride, this was definitely a safer choice. The music is outside my comfort zone, but the instructor is not. So I knew that I would probably like it. The music was good. I knew basically all of it. It was very popular classic rock music. It definitely is a chiller vibe than his EDM classes, but it's not easy. I still got a really good workout in. I just felt like there were longer pushes, but I've kind of been gravitating towards that lately anyways. So I really enjoyed that ride. Christine's ride was amazing. I actually think that that was my favorite ride I've taken today, and I would not have guessed that. I was a little skeptical of the classical music. It was just an awesome ride. There were long pushes. She kind of let you choose like what felt good to you, which is always nice. So like I definitely went a little bit harder, but she also says a lot that you don't need to go super hard every single ride, and I definitely feel like I'm guilty of that. Whenever I'm on the bike, I want to try my hardest, but that's just not sustainable. So it's nice to have an instructor remind you of that and be like, it's okay to take it easy. That would be a great low impact ride or an easier ride, but you could also modify it to make it harder. It's really like whatever you want from the class. And I just really enjoyed the classical music. I recognize some of it, not all of it, but it was just really pretty, and it was cool to like kind of grind out while listening to classical music. And then finally, the 5-minute cool down ride. First, my bike like broke again where it wouldn't load the cool down, but I actually turned it on and off to get into the cool down. And I did like it. I liked that Hannah focused on a lot of stretches while we were pedaling out. So we were doing a lot of different like arm stretches and stretching out the waist, and they actually felt really good. I had never done stretches like that after riding, but my only complaint is that she kind of left it at high resistance, low cadence the entire time. She had you take off a little bit of resistance, but never speed up your cadence. So the recommended cadence was 60 to 70 the whole time. And I really like to pedal out like at a 90 cadence with a super low resistance of like 25, 30. So I just did that for the last minute while we were continuing the stretches. It just wasn't following what she said, but I don't think that's the biggest deal. And I do think I'll take this class in the future because I really did enjoy the stretches during the cool down. So today was 3 for 3. Really liked all of them. Hopefully the rest of the week goes like this because that'd be awesome. But I'll definitely take that classical music ride again, and I'm going to look into different Ben Alldis classic rock rides because I just thought that they were both really good classes. And I'm going to start alternating with the cool down rides and really get some diversity in my cool downs. It is now the next day, and I'm ready to take more rides outside my comfort zone. So the first ride that I'm taking today is only like slightly outside of my comfort zone. It is a 45-minute Power Zone ride by Denis Morton from August 31st, 2021. The reason I consider this outside my comfort zone is I basically don't take any Denis classes at all. Typically because I'm just not a huge fan of the music he plays, but every time I do take a Denis class, I usually really enjoy it. And for Power Zone specifically, I've really been sticking to Matt Wilpers and Ben Alldis, so I'd love to branch out and like get a new Power Zone instructor into my schedule because Matt and Ben don't come out with like that many classes between them. So it's always nice to have options. This class, I knew some of the music. It's a mix between like rock and alternative music, so I think that I will enjoy it. I know that he's really big about cycling on the beat, but per Power Zone training, it's really about like going your own tempo. So I'm kind of interested to see how he like merges those two things together, if he just like go whatever tempo you want, or if he will encourage us to stay on the beat. But either way, I really like Power Zone training, so I'm excited to take this class. And then the next class I'm going to take is a 15-minute Seoul ride by Leanne Hainsby from June 24th, 2021. And I don't take a ton of Leanne classes, not because I don't like her. I just find that there's not like a bunch of classes by her I want to take. I guess it's mostly because of music again. And I can confidently say I've never taken a Seoul ride before. I don't listen to Seoul music. I think that it could be cool on the bike after doing the classical ride yesterday and thinking it was cool. So I thought 15 minutes, you know what? I can try anything for 15 minutes. And then I'm just going to wrap up the day with my typical 5-minute Ben Alldis cool down ride. So we got 2 new rides to try today, rides that are outside my comfort zone, but I'm very excited. I think that it will be fun. Overall, I really liked both of those rides. Denis's Power Zone ride was pretty much exactly how I imagined it. He was like, focus on the zones. If you can't hit my cadence callouts, then just hit your zone. But if you can be in the zone and hit my cadence callouts, like that is preferred, which is a little bit different than Matt Wilpers and Ben Alldis's Power Zone classes. They typically just say like be in the zone and do whatever you got to do to be in those zones. So I don't know which one I like more, but I think I kind of like a mix of both. Sometimes I want to determine like what speed to go at, but I also feel like Denis basically started with high cadence and then went down to a lower cadence and then came back to a high cadence at the end of the class. And I think it's important to practice hitting your zones at kind of all cadences, especially right when I got into Power Zone training. I was doing a lot of low cadence, high resistance to hit all my zones. And I think that that's like a valid workout, but I think that you would be a more well-balanced athlete if you could do the same zones at a higher cadence, lower resistance. I just think that like both are important to practice. So I like that Denis kind of pushes you to practice both. And I actually like the music. A lot of it was like alternative music. There was some Green Day, Panic at the Disco, Cage the Elephant. There were a couple songs I didn't know, but overall I thought it was a really good class, and I'll definitely look at taking more classes, specifically Power Zone training from Denis in the future. And I'm happy to have another Power Zone training instructor that I like. And then Leanne's Seoul class, first off, Leanne is a big fan of Seoul, which is interesting. I just never knew that because I've never taken a Seoul class before, but I really enjoyed the music. She definitely picked a lot of popular Seoul songs. I don't know the genre well, but even some of them sounded familiar to me, and they're just really upbeat and happy. It was a really nice way to end the workout. I will say the only complaint in that class was sometimes I had a little trouble understanding when her pushes were supposed to start. Like she would introduce a push, and usually instructors tell you about the push and then they're like 3, 2, 1, go. But I think that sometimes she would just introduce the push and assume that you started it, because sometimes I'd be waiting for her to say go and then she'd be like, okay, recover. So I obviously missed the boat on some of the pushes, but overall it was still a really fun class, and it seemed like the way she was talking, she does them pretty frequently. So I would definitely check them out for like a 15-minute class to tack on to a 45-minute class, since I like to ride for an hour. It was a very nice and upbeat way to end the ride. And then Ben Alldis's Cooldown ride, always great, no complaints. So really today was another win. I feel like in general, I'm pretty easy to please with Peloton classes, but I've definitely taken classes before that I don't like or just don't think are that good. But so far, I've really been enjoying all of these classes. So I guess I'm just good at picking classes that I think I would like, but I wouldn't normally choose, because these classes I would not like typically choose on a day that I could just ride. So far, so good, and I'm excited to take some more new classes. It is now the next day, and I'm going to be taking a lot of new rides today. I'm very, very excited. So I'm going to start it off with a 20-minute country ride by Matt Wilpers from August 27th, 2021. And really, this is out of my comfort zone for 2 reasons. I don't know if I've ever taken a Matt Wilpers class that's not Power Zone training, so that will be interesting in itself. And then also, I'm pretty sure I've never taken a country ride. I actually don't have anything against country music. I feel like it kind of gets a lot of hate, and people are like, oh, I like all music except for country music, but I don't feel that way. I like country music, I just don't listen to it a ton, so I probably won't know the songs unless if they're like super popular country songs. But I think that it could be cool to cycle to, and I'm excited to try it out. And it's only 20 minutes, so if I hate it, it will be over fast. After that, I'm going to be doing a 10-minute climb ride by Toussaint from November 2nd, 2020. I actually took a 10-minute climb ride super recently with Bradley Rose, and I really, really enjoyed it. I had never taken a 10-minute like ride that wasn't cool down or low impact before that, and it was because I had like accidentally done a 20-minute class when I thought I did a 30. So I was like, oh, I just want a 10-minute class to tack on to the end, and that class was just like a progressive climb that just got heavier and heavier, and I really, really enjoyed it. The reason that this is out of my comfort zone is because I feel like Alex and I have very different definitions of what a hill is. For Alex, typically in club bangers rides or hip hop rides, when he says a hill, he usually means still pretty low resistance, but a high cadence. So I'm interested to see what this class is like. It has a difficulty rating of 8 out of 10, which I think is pretty high considering it's only a 10-minute ride. So I guess we'll see. It might be super hard, maybe it won't be, but it's definitely a little out of my comfort zone. It's a little scary. If I was going to take a 10-minute climb ride, usually Ben Alldis has a ton, Bradley Rose, wouldn't immediately pick Toussaint. So I'm excited though to see how it goes. Maybe I will enjoy it. And then after those 2 rides, I'm going to be doing a 30-minute reflection ride by Christine Duracol from August 8th, 2021. This one was also recommended to me on a comment, and I'm excited to try it. It seems like the gist is just to like reflect and really focus on you, which, you know, I could always do on the bike. So I'm excited. I kind of feel like I didn't like Christine Duracol for a while, but I really liked that classical music ride that I took a couple days ago. So I'm hoping for good vibes for this class and that I like it too. I think it'll be fun. And then finally, I thought I'd mix it up and try a new 5-minute cool down ride. This one I just kind of chose randomly. It is a 5-minute cool down ride by Alda from February 5th, 2021. It is tagged intermediate, which is a little alarming. I don't know how a cool down ride could be intermediate, but I guess we will see. I kind of have liked mixing it up and trying some new cool down rides. So that is the agenda for today. 4 rides. That's typically more than what I usually take, but they are a bunch of short rides. So let's just get right on into this workout. Today was definitely more of a wash than the other days. So to start out, the 20-minute country ride by Matt Wilpers, I didn't think it was bad, but I also didn't think it was great or good, really. It was just kind of in the middle. If you like country music, I would suggest listening to it. I enjoyed the music, but I didn't think the set itself was anything special, and I don't have a ton to say about the class. It was pretty basic. And then the 10-minute Alex Toussaint climb ride, I actually didn't like that much. I definitely preferred the other 10-minute climb ride I've tried in the past by Bradley Rose. I just felt like this ride was kind of boring, and at the beginning it was way too easy for like the first 5 minutes. The last 5 minutes he did bring it, but for like half the ride I was going way over what he was recommending because I just didn't feel like it was pushing me enough. Also, there wasn't as much out of the saddle fast work as I thought it was, pretty true to a climb ride. So again, I just thought it was nothing special. I did really like Christine's reflection ride. I will say I don't think it'll be everybody's cup of tea because the biggest thing is she doesn't really recommend resistance or cadence to go at. She kind of recommends cadence. It's basically like go the tempo of the song, but she never gives any hard numbers, which I particularly liked. Basically, they were just like long pushes that were a couple minutes each where she was like, you know, go whatever feels good. And I wouldn't want that every day, but it was really nice to kind of just not focus on the numbers for once and just like grind out what felt good. And I felt like I still had a good workout at the end of it. Like you can definitely kind of modify it to like whatever you want. If you want an easier workout, you can definitely do that. If you want a harder one, you can definitely do that with this class. But I also feel like it could be hard for beginners if you don't really know like what numbers feel good for you. I guess it could help you figure it out. But I feel like if I took this class like a year ago, I probably wouldn't like it as much, but I really liked it. And I'm definitely going to check out her other reflection rides for some more chill days. Like it's still a good workout, but it just feels so much calmer because instead of like 30-second pushes, you're doing like 4-minute pushes. It was very reminiscent of Power Zone training, which is kind of like all of her rides are like that. I think it's because she's like a real cycler compared to like an indoor cycler. And that's typically more of like an outdoor cycling workout where you're doing longer pushes. And then the cool down ride was also awesome. It's literally the exact same format as the Ben Alldis cool down ride I've been doing, like high resistance, low cadence, and then you switch and come out at the end. I'm pretty sure like down to the second, it is the same exact metrics. So it's just a different person talking, some different music, which I definitely like. I'm definitely going to take this ride again. I feel like I like the Ben Alldis cool down ride music a little better, but it's also because I've listened to it so much. So maybe if I take this ride like 100 times, it will become my new favorite cool down ride, but it definitely has potential. Overall, 2 rides that were just nothing special, but then 2 rides that I'm really happy I went outside my comfort zone and tried. So more of a wash than the past 2 days where I've loved all the rides I've taken, but honestly, not a bad day. It is now Monday. I took the weekend off from cycling, but I'm ready to get back on into it. This is going to be my last day of trying classes outside my comfort zone, but I'm excited. We got some good ones to try. So the first ride that I'm going to take is a 45-minute sold out show ride by Jenn Sherman from June 20th, 2021. And this one was actually recommended to me on a video. Jenn Sherman is pretty much always out of my comfort zone. I have done rides by her that I've liked in the past, but I've also done rides that I didn't like. And this makes me a little bit nervous that it's 45 minutes, but I think it will be fine. It'll be cool. Usually themed rides are pretty fun, and I did look at the music and it was like good music. I actually felt like I knew like a good amount of it. It was kind of like alternative and rock. And then after that, I'm going to be doing a 20-minute Power Zone Max ride by Wilpers from December 10th, 2020. And I'm actually very nervous about this ride because first off, Power Zone Max rides are very, very hard. They're like the max. You're usually going to zones 3 through 7, I think, and 7 is your highest zone. And then usually when I take Power Zone rides in general, I take 45-minute rides that have a very long warm-up. So they kind of like introduce you to those higher zones, and then you pull back, and then you kind of like build up to the higher zones very slowly over the 45 minutes. But in 20 minutes, you're just not going to be afforded that luxury. So I'm really interested to see like how he warms us up and if I can hit these like super high zones without like working gradually towards them. So a little nervous, but I have been wanting to take this class. And then I'm ending the workout with a 5-minute cooldown ride by Jess from September 8th, 2021. And I'm super excited about this ride. I saw that it just came out, and the first song, which will be like the majority of the 5 minutes, is Somebody to Love by Queen. And I really like that song, and I really like Jess. So I feel like this could be another good cooldown ride. So let's just get right on into these final, kind of scary, definitely out of my comfort zone rides. I actually really enjoyed that Jenn Sherman ride. I will say I was skeptical, but it was really, really cool. The music was very popular, so I knew most of it. Some of it was alternative. A lot of it I would say is like classic rock, but I really enjoyed it. And then it was all live music, which I don't like usually listening to live music, but I feel like it worked well with the class and it was cool to like hear the applause. I will say that my average output was lower than other classes that I typically take. I feel like in a normal class, my average output is usually somewhere between 160 and 170. And I think that it was like 150 for this class, but there were so many sprints and sprints out of the saddle that I feel like it was still a hard class. I got a really good workout in. It's just like way easier for me to create higher output if I'm just grinding up a hill. And we didn't do a ton of hills in that class, but I had no issue with it. It was a great class. I'm definitely going to check out her other sold out shows, and I would highly recommend it. I'm actually going to tell my mom that she should take it because I think that she would really like it. And yeah, just overall a really great class. I was very pleasantly surprised. And then the Power Zone Max ride by Wilpers I thought was just okay. So it was only a 20-minute class, so I thought that there would be a short warm-up, but the warm-up was actually 10 minutes of the 20-minute class. And then the last 10 minutes, it was just zone 6 for a minute, zone 1 for a minute. So it was like a good workout, and it was a good 20-minute class. Like the zone 6 pushes were definitely hard. I definitely needed the full 1-minute recovery, and it felt good. I just felt like it was nothing special, and you do spend so much time. I feel like Wilpers does the same Power Zone warm-up every single time, and it's just start pedaling in zone 1, then you do some speed pushes, and then you start at zone 3 and build up to zone whatever you're going to go to. So we just built up to zone 6 over 3 minutes, and it's just a long time to spend that time warming up for the Power Zone class. Like I feel like it's a good warm-up, but if it's only a 20-minute class, then you're spending half your time warming up basically. But it was not a bad class, it just wasn't anything great. You only had time to do like one 20-minute ride that day. I feel like I probably wouldn't recommend it just because you spend so much time warming up, and then you definitely need to cool down after it. Like I was like, I need to cool down. I pretty much always do a cool down nowadays, but sometimes like before I would skip the cool down. Like sometimes I do a ride and I'm like, I don't really need a cool down, but I do one anyways. But this ride, I was like, I need a cool down. The zone 6 really, really elevates your heart rate. So then I went to the Jess King 5-minute cool down, and I liked it. It was structured a little bit differently, but I feel like I like the structure, and I will definitely take this class again. And also I love the Queen song, so that helps. But it started out at like 75 to 85 cadence, and I think 35 to 45 resistance, which is a little faster and a little less resistance than I'm used to starting out for. But then we just kind of went up cadence, lowered resistance. And then when there was only 2 minutes left, for a minute, we pedaled out at like 30 resistance, 90 cadence. It felt really good. And then for the last minute, she's like, bring it back down to 80 to 90 cadence, but keep the really low resistance. And that actually felt really nice because I like going fast to pedal out my legs and like feel, I don't know, the lactic acid like loosen. I don't know. I can feel it though. It feels nice when you pedal out fast at a low resistance. But then when I brought the cadence down, I really felt my heart rate coming down. I usually end a cool down with a heart rate around 130, but this cool down I ended around 115 just because the last minute was really easy. But that was kind of nice because it's like a better cooldown, but I still got to pedal out at a faster speed at some point in the class. So overall, I really liked it. So those were all of my rides for this video. I feel like my biggest out of my comfort zone was actually taking all these different cooldown rides, but I really enjoyed them. And honestly, taking all these classes, I had one day that was kind of a wash, but besides that, I feel like I discovered some really great classes and got to try out some classes that were recommended to me. I always love taking classes that you guys recommend. So please let me know if you have any other rides you want me to take, or if you've taken any of these rides, what you think. But I was very pleasantly surprised. I just feel like at the end of the day, Peloton is a great platform and all the instructors are super talented. So even if it's not like your cup of tea, you can always realize that it's really good. Like all of the instructors are just phenomenal. So that's it for this video. I hope you guys are staying safe, having an awesome week, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!